I am so glad that you have been able to join us this morning for this weekly devotional. I want us to think about our fears, the things that we look at and we worry about, and we have great anxieties over. In Psalms, the 34th chapter, verses 4 through 7, it says, "I sought the Lord, and He answered me and delivered me from all my fears. Those who look to Him are radiant, and their faces will never be ashamed. This poor man cried, and the Lord heard him and saved him out of all of his troubles. The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him and delivers them." Now, we read this and we think about this idea that as we go about these things, that God will take all of our troubles away, all of our trials, and yet the world is around us. Things happen. And so often we find ourselves living in fear of something. It is often something that has not even happened. It may never happen, or it may be inevitable. It may be out of our control, which is our greatest fear. You see, we want to be able to control everything. We want to be able to keep everything on an even keel. And more often than not, it's not up to us. We seek God and His care, and we want Him to remove the trial. We want it. We want Him. We want it. We want Him to make it all better. We're much like the small child with a little pain, seeking a mother's kiss to make it all go away. The older we get, or the older we become, the more we realize it's about the comfort as we go through the pain. No matter how old you are, you still have that want for that kind of care. Jesus tells the apostles in Matthew, the 28th chapter, and it may not sound like this verse goes with this idea, but give it a moment. He says, "And do not fear those who kill the body but cannot kill the soul. Rather, fear him who can destroy both the soul and body in hell." You see, we fear about our lives. We fear about the things that can be removed from us. The rest of this passage, Jesus tells of His and our Father's care and the importance of our life in Christ for God. He says, "There are not two sparrows," in verse 29, "or not two sparrows sold for a penny, and not one of them will fall to the ground apart from your Father. But even the hairs of your head are all numbered. Fear not, therefore you are of more value than many sparrows. So everyone who acknowledges me before men, I also will acknowledge before my Father who is in heaven. But whoever denies me before men, I will also deny him before my Father who is in heaven." This gives us an idea of the necessity of the need to follow Christ, of living for God, of seeking to do His will. You see, our Father cares for us. He sees after us. He wants to give us everything that we need. But more than anything else, He asks that we seek Him, that we live for Him. In 1 Peter chapter 5, he says in verse 6, "Humble yourselves therefore under the mighty hand of God, so that at the proper time He may exalt you, so that He may give you the things that you need, or so that you may find yourself living for God when that time comes, or when the end is there, that He will give you that home in heaven." He says, seek those things. Be willing to give yourself over to God in totals. But I want you to listen to what he says. He said, casting all your anxieties on him because he cares for you. Casting all your anxieties on him because he cares for you. He cares for how you feel. He cares for what's happening inside of you. Much like that kiss, and the older we become, the more we realize it is about the comfort as we go through the pain. It's not necessarily about removing the trials from our lives. It's about removing the fear and relying on God, knowing that we belong to him, or we belong to and we live for him. And through that, he cares for us. We're all going to face a trial and a difficulty that we can do nothing about. Oh, there may be many things we can do, but we're going to go through those trials. What's worse than going through the trials is going through the trials and living in fear of them every day. We need to cast those fears upon God. Let him care for those fears. Let him see to the situations at our hand. And if we are conquered by that particular trial because it's something that is inevitable, then we still have placed our fears on God, and he cares for us. You see, as a child of God, we're not in this world alone. We're not in this fight alone. So often we feel that way, but we must look to him and know that he will care for us in his own way. And that whatever he gives us is whatever is right in our life at that time and at the moment. But he helps us through those fears. Whatever is put upon us, he helps us through. I hope you will take this thought today, that you will live your life in this manner, that you will give yourself over to God, that you will let him take care of those things. I hope that you have a blessed week and that you enjoy the time that is set before you, because God is caring for all of those things. Thank you for being here, and God bless.